Welcome, my fellow modeling and tabletop gaming enthusiasts, back to the Mediocre Modeler Show. It's been a little while. It's been commission crazy this year. I think this is the first part of a week I haven't had a commission job so far this year, which has been great. Money coming in, but it's a lot of work, especially right on the eve of Adepticon. I'm finally done with client jobs. I can finish up the stuff that I need to do for the Heresy event that I'm playing in Adepticon next week. It's going to be a great time. But we are back again with another, excuse me, out-of-box review. So a little bit of background on what we're going to be looking at today and why I have it. For Christmas, I actually got some more bolt-action stuff as a gift from my wife and my kids, and that was some U.S. Marines. So I got the command section that had the officer, the medic, the radio operator. I think it also had like just an extra guy carrying a stretcher. I also got the medium machine gun, so the 1917, because y'all know I do love a good 1917 team, the old water-cooled Browning, as well as a box of Marines to put a bunch of stuff together. So I'll be working on getting some of that stuff painted. I've already painted some of that. So the command section and the machine gun team I've already painted. They were a blast to paint. It's different enough than European U.S. Army infantry, just because it's a more simpler color scheme, but it's also kind of fun to do the sort of that frog pattern helmet cover on their helmets. Obviously, helmet cover goes on a helmet. I mean, that's, yeah, makes sense, I guess. But those are a lot of fun to do, so I'm looking forward to getting to paint the rest of the box that I have and picking up some more at Adepticon. Obviously, I mean, that's three-quarters of the reason I go to Adepticon is to just buy new stuff that I can't get locally, new games, things like that. So definitely be looking for a recap episode after Adepticon here in a couple weeks, as well as probably a loot episode, all the swag that I'm going to pick up. Probably more swag than I really need to, but that's part of it. So what we're going to look at in this episode is kind of it's going to be almost a double feature. So the first thing we're going to look at from Rubicon Models, I believe I ordered this from Kick-Ass Mail Order, great place to check out, is the Rubicon Models 156 LVT-2 or LVT-A2. They make a couple of different variants of the LVT. I got the LVT-1 and then the LVT-4, different variants. So we're going to take a look at this here, what comes in the box, as well as some extras that I ordered from it. So I ordered these actually direct from Rubicon, and that is the Crew Set 1 for the LVT, as well as the Crew Set 2. And these are white metal. Pretty cool. So we're definitely going to take a look at these after we take a look at the main components of this LVT-2 kit. For a quick background on the LVT, it was sort of an amphibious transport vehicle. Some variants were armed. Some had a 37mm cannon from... Basically, it had the turret from an M5, M3 Stuart. And there were other ones that had a mortar, or basically, you know, not a mortar, but an artillery piece. Basically, the same turret as the M8 Scott. I can't remember exactly what those variant names were, but there are models out there for those, both from Rubicon as well as Warlord makes a variant of those, and also companies like Company B Models I know makes a couple varieties. I think the LVT-2 or LVT-4, as well as the turret armed versions as well. So if you're looking for something like that, definitely go check those out. I picked the LVT, again, Rubicon Models, as I've kind of discussed in the past. I mean, they're really highly detailed. They're more like a display model kit than necessarily a gaming piece, but they're designed in that gaming scale, and I think they're relatively sturdy enough for the most part to act as a decent gaming piece. And they're also a little bit cheaper. I think they're really good value for the money. I mean, Warlord it's definitely a gaming piece, and there's definitely noticeable difference in scale, because with Warlord you get more 28mm heroic scale, where you've got the exaggerated hands, the exaggerated heads, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's definitely, it makes it easy to paint, easier to see. But then you've got like Rubicon over here, which is more of a 156 scale. Little bit of a difference. I mean, they're more or less synonymous, but there's that heroic piece. So 28mm heroic scale is different. You know, it's going to look bigger than, less properly proportioned than, say, a 156 scale figure or kit. Scale difference, whatever. It does kind of bother me a little bit. I mean, if you know me, you know that That kind of thing does bother me, but at the same time, I'm willing to let it go. It's just a game, you know? It's, you know, and I'm not doing these for, you know, model contests or display. I'm just trying to paint up a really cool looking model, paint it up really well, so that it looks good on a table. If I ever get the chance to actually play Bolt Action or Conflict 47, I think I've played like 2 games of Heresy since last Adepticon, so we'll see what the next year brings. But right now, it's still really busy with commission stuff. So without any further ado, let's head on down to the bench and see what we get with this LVT-2 kit as well as the crew boxes. All right, so here we are. Here is our LVT-2 or LVTA-2 Water Buffalo. As you can see, 156. 28mm scale plastic kit landing vehicle tracked LVT. You know, they kind of use 156 and 28mm a little bit interchangeably here. For the most part, they are. As usual, pretty well done box. Get some of the features that you get. So you can build it as either the LVT-2 or the A2, open or closed hatches, detailed tracks, and you can also build just a waterline version of it. And then, of course, it tells you there are optional, sold separately, blister packs for the crew. So you got a nice little partial illustration there. Box got a little bit dinged up in transit, but that's okay. And then on the back, of course, and I apologize for the glare of the light, you get some history on the actual LVT itself, as well as a couple of quick color schemes here. There's a couple of different options you can do. I see most of them in sort of the traditional OD green, but I have seen some in more of like an ocean gray, which looks kind of cool. And then it also gives you an idea of what the decal sheet looks like, which is going to be pretty cool. And I might look into potentially some aftermarket decals. We'll kind of have to take a look. But all right, so let's go ahead and crack this puppy open. So as usual, quite a few screws. One thing Rubicon does well, but at the same time, we're also doing multiple variants in the same box. So, take a look at our instructions briefly. I think we've got the LVT-2 here, and this would be the A2. This would be the armored variant. I think the main difference is you've got more armor here over the driver's compartment. But, as usual, pretty detailed instructions as you actually start it, building the cabin, as well as the machine guns, building the hull, and then your track sections and your interior. And then your waterline version if you want to go with that route. Quick look at the decal sheet again. I didn't use a ton of decals on the Jeeps that I built that were from Rubicon, so I can't say a whole lot one way or the other the quality of the decals, but I mean they look pretty good. As you can see, this decal sheet at least was copyrighted in 2018, so it's been around for a little while. Okay, so without, you know what, screw it, we're gonna open them. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. We're just gonna open this up so then we don't have to deal with glare from the light. So here's our first sprue, which kind of has our main hull, our tracks, the side tracks, and the side sponsons essentially, pretty nicely molded. Looks like there might actually be a little bit of sag molded in. I mean, just the smallest amount of sag possibly molded into these track pieces. That is one really neat thing that like Rubicon and, well, I think Rubicon might, but I know Warlord does, is they pre-mold that track sag in there, which is pretty cool. I mean, I can kind of feel a little bit of, yeah, there's definitely some track sag molded in there. That's cool. That's a nice little touch. Even for just a gaming piece. Take a look at our second set of sprues here. I guess if I'm taking this out of the plastic, I'm gonna have to build it sooner rather than later. I like doing vehicles. Vehicles tend to paint up a little bit quicker than, you know, infantry figures, so it's kind of neat. Unless you're like me and you get a little bit detail obsessed, I've been known to do, but that's okay. That's perfectly okay. It's fun. My scale modeler shows through when I start doing stuff like that. So, okay, so with our next sprue here, we've got our upper deck. Looks like we've got some of our hatch covers, vents, as well as some of our running gear here, a few other miscellaneous details. And this sprue here, we've got our track sides, we've got our road wheels molded on, like some hand railings, other various details and things, grabs, cleats, dogs, all that stuff. And then final set of sprues. So it comes all on 4 sprues, plus instructions, plus a decal sheet. And I think this was probably a little over 30 bucks, maybe. I can't remember the exact price. It's been a month or so, roughly, since I actually bought this. So we've got sort of our, looks like our deck plates, engine covers. Here's our 50 cal shields. We've got the 30 cals to go on the side, 1919s, and then we've got our mod deuces up here. We've got our armored, or our, this is our armored crew compartment. This would be our unarmored crew compartment. Sort of interior details and panels and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it looks like a fairly simple kit. I'm really looking forward to putting it together and painting it up, especially. It's just a matter of how am I going to paint it. Drivetrain that goes right down the middle of the goes right down the middle of the crew compartment. The question is going to be, do we paint this as the traditional OD green or more of like a faded OD green like I like to do, especially for a South Pacific model, or do that sort of ocean gray color? Be an interesting thing to do. Okay, so next, let's take a look at our crew kits. So I got the U.S. Marine Corps Infantry, specifically one of the Marine Corps Infantry ones, sets 1 and 2. So these come with some pretty neat things. So we'll take a look at set 1 to start. So these, again, from Rubicon Models, they are pewter figures, so they're white metal figures, and part of the other reason I got it is they do come with some stowage options. You can see it comes in a nice little clamshell. I like the way that they pack these, where they've actually got slits in the foam to fit stuff in. I think that's a really cool little touch. Now, if I can remember how to actually open these. Oh, that's neat. Right there. Nice and neat. We'll do it this way. So, we can see our contents here. And they do actually include a little instruction sheet in here, which is pretty neat. It tells you, what contents you get, and then gives you some assembly instructions. So in this one, we do have 3 figures, 2 of them manning the heavy machine guns, and then we do have a 3rd figure throwing a grenade. I believe these ones do all come with the life vest, which is a neat little touch. And then it comes with the stowage, which I thought is always kind of a nice touch to have, especially for transport vehicles. If you have an open top transport vehicle, I think you got to have crew. It just adds that much life and that much more character to it. So we'll take a look at this. As you can see, as I was saying, they've got these slits cut in the packing foam for the figures to actually go inside. So instead of being smushed up against, the back of this, it actually fits down in there. But we've got a number of sprues, arms and head, and you can see just how small these are in comparison to, say, a Warlord figure. And again, that's fine. That's the way it is. They get some really good detail out of it. I mean, you can even see, the folds in the helmet cover, which is really cool. We'll take a look at one of these figures here, molded in a pretty dynamic pose with the life vest. He's even got a holster on his belt. I mean, just kind of like your standard white metal figure, which the last couple of years working with figures from Phalanx Consortium for Blood and Valor, working with Warlord figures for Conflict 47 Bolt Action, I've come to appreciate metal models again. Just is something different, I guess. I don't remember if that's how I went it or not. The next figure, again, kind of a more dynamic pose with the, the life vest and the holster and just some of those nice little details to help kind of bring them to life. And this would be our 3rd figure. Well, one of these is our 3rd figure that's throwing the grenade. But again, basic same uniform, same pose. Pretty cool. We do have an additional sprue here that looks like it's got our grenade throwing arm. And another one gripping probably possibly a machine gun handle. And of course, we do have a 3rd head that it looks like it did actually break off that sprue. That's okay. We do have the 2 white metal machine guns with ammo boxes attached to their pedestals. I mean, yeah, these are pretty nicely detailed. I've never really gotten that close with an M2 50 cal myself, but I think these look pretty well detailed. Kind of tough to transport it without getting bent. As you can see, both of those barrels are pretty thin, bent a little bit, and that's okay. That's not a big deal. They bend back easily enough. And of course, I don't remember how that one was placed in there. Probably wrong. And then, of course, we got our stowage. You know, nice wood grain texture, probably overdone wood grain texture, but that's how we do it in tabletop gaming with tarp, ammo cans, looks like possibly larger ammunition shells, 37 millimeter, something like that. And then, of course, we've got our second one here. Again, pretty much same thing, ammo cans, tarps, you know, wooden crates. So pretty cool stuff to include. I don't remember how that's supposed to go in there now. Whatever, we're just gonna say that's good. So we'll just go ahead and set this one off to the side for the time being, and we'll take a look at set 2 here. So it's just a little bit thicker, but we've got 3 figures. So 3 figures and 2 stowages. So we've got one guy manning a 1919, another guy just firing his M1, and then another guy firing his M1 Thompson, which this guy is the one that I really wanted, but I also wanted the guy with the 1919. I thought that looked pretty cool. So you can see, again, they did the same thing. They've got the slits in the foam for those, and we've got our different sprues. So we'll go ahead and crack this one open, have a look. Of course, we've got our little, it's like a little trifold again for our instructions. So we've got our first guy there, who is one man in the 1919. Here's how he fits together. We've got the guy standing on the stowage, and then the other guy with his Thompson. So pretty cool stuff there. Okay, so, you know, not a whole lot to see here. We've got a, you know, white metal 1919. Pretty well done. And as usual, I'm gonna take this out and not remember which way it was actually oriented when it was in there. So yeah, that works. So very similar to our last figures, we've got, you know, one-piece body, life vest, you know, same uniform, and we've got our pistol holster. Well, I mean, what other kind of holster would you have? Got your 1911 holster. Again, this guy actually doesn't have the life vest, and he's got, this might be our M1 guy, because he's actually got the ammo pouches around his belt on his web gear. And then we've got our third guy down in here. So again, this guy looks like he doesn't have, oh, this would be our Thompson gunner. He's got the Thompson mag pouch. So this would be our other guy. One of the troops getting dropped off. And of course, we got our stowage. Again, pretty similar to the last one. Looks like possibly maybe grenades in here instead of larger caliber ammo rounds. A crate holding ammo cans, more crates. And this crate does actually have a lid, which comes on this sprue here. It's this piece right there. Pretty neat, if you ask me. Apparently you're asking me because you're watching my video. And again, another tiny, smaller piece of stowage, which again, looks like 30 cal ammo cans and more ammo crates. I'll just kind of in there like that. So here's the parts for our guy with the Thompson. We got his head and his arm and his arms. We've got possibly our guy with the M1. Really nicely done. I suppose, you know, bring it up a little bit closer for you guys to see some of that detail. And the detail's a little off on that. I mean, but whatever. What are you gonna do? I mean, yeah, whoop-de-doo. Big deal. And then, of course, our last guy, who I'm pretty sure is supposed to be the one manning the 1919. But where are his hands? He ain't got no hands. What? Let's look at this. Are his hands supposed to be molded onto one of the guns? Oh, yeah, this one. They're molded onto this gun. Look at that. Yeah, there's his hands. Yeah, at least one of them anyway. But Lieutenant Dan, you ain't got no hands. So, there we go. That is a quick look at the Rubicon Models LVT-2, LVT-A2 Water Buffalo, and the associated track sets. All right, so I just realized I said track sets at the end of that last segment. I meant the crew figure sets. We did not look at track sets. There are no separate track sets. So that was the Rubicon Models 156 scale LVT-2 or LVT-A2, depending on how you choose to build it. I think it's a pretty cool kit. I'm looking forward to seeing how well it goes together. Maybe a little bit big to do a build video on, but we'll definitely take a look at it once it's built. And after I decide how I'm going to kit it out, if I'm going to use the white metal 50 cals, if I'm going to even use the 50 cals, I'll use the 50 cals, but then am I going to use the gun shields or not? And then which crew figures I decide to use. Because if I don't use all of them on this one, maybe I get another LVT or a variety of some sort, maybe an LVT-4 or something like that would be kind of cool. Have a second one, you know, just a tracked transport vehicle, amphibious transport would be kind of cool to have. Also thematic for Marines in World War II. So, yeah, pretty cool. I'm definitely looking forward to when I get the chance to work on that one. So we'll see when that happens. Hopefully probably get back to some of my more historical modeling after Adepticon, but we will see. Depends on how bad the heresy bug bites. I've got a lot of interest in some of those new plastic heresy Solar Auxilia models. That's been my big focus like the last 2 years. What I've been working on is Solar Auxilia, and I've got a lot of resin Solar Auxilia I haven't built yet. I mean, I've got a whole squadron of Lehman Russes with Volkite turrets that I'm really looking forward to getting around to modeling, but I digress. You know, all good things in time. But yeah, so that was the Rubicon Models LVT-2. So I hope you folks enjoyed that. At least you now have an idea of what's in the kit, and I'll let you know how it goes together for me anyway. Yeah, we'll try and be a little bit more regular again with Adepticon coming next week. I'm going to be out having fun, not caring about anything. Just hanging out with my wife, hanging out with my friends, hanging out at Adepticon, the greatest show on earth. So thank you folks very much for watching. I sure do hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, may your paints be thin, your brushes be pointy, and your dice be hot.